here we are, Dune Part 2 review, first review of the YouTube channel. And as I said on TikTok, there's no better place to start. Thanks to Denis Villeneuve, thanks to Greg Fraser, thanks to Timothy Chalamet, thanks to Zendaya, thanks to Rebecca Ferguson, thanks to Javier Bardem, thanks to Stellan Skarsgård, thanks to Austin Butler, and the rest of you. There's more of you. Not that I've forgotten your name, or that I don't care about your name, but these are the main hitters. But Florence Pugh, sorry, thanks to you as well. Thanks to Christopher Walken. Alright, cool. I'm all like acting like I'm doing an acceptance speech at the Oscars.
Oh, wow! Wow!
Anyways, Dune Part 2, amazing, fantastical, spectacular. Peak cinema. You see, when you see the memes like, this is peak, we will be seated. I was seated midnight on Friday, and there was no better way to experience it. If you're gonna go see this, if you haven't seen it yet, IMAX. It's the only way to experience it. It's made for IMAX. Don't play yourself. Lock in. Dune Part 2. What's my quick overview thoughts? I think the story was executed perfectly. I think there's some like subplots that were missing from the book, like Topher, the Mentat, and stuff like that. But I do not think it played a negative part in the Dune story. I definitely think that, like, there's obviously book fans that might be annoyed about it or stuff like that, but I genuinely think if you take the sole like book as evidence and you look how much work has to be done to bring that to live action, you can't not appreciate it. Genuinely, you can't not appreciate it, because there's so much that goes on in that book. Backgrounds of the family. I'm sure people who have read it would understand that, you know, it's going to be hard, and the film's going to be long. The film is already long, and a lot of you complain about film length and etc. etc. So given what he's given us and produced for us, it's crazy. You have to give him his flowers. Denis Villeneuve, you know, he gets a lot of slack for Blade Runner. I think it's a good movie. You look at track record of films and he's just banger after banger after banger after banger. Listen, Steven Spielberg, you are the sci-fi icon, but there's a Wonder Boy. There's a Wonder Boy. Don't get onto me. I'm just saying, because he's cooking, and we have to appreciate it. Another one to mention, Greg Fraser. We've seen your shots, we've seen your cinematography. We are not surprised, but I feel like you took it to a next level. The creator, Rogue One, Batman, like, look at the cinematography in his films and then look at Dune, and it's not a surprise at all. Some of those shots, like the opening shot, the arena shot in the Harkonnen homeworld, the war shot with all the worms, it's crazy. I'm not gonna go too much into scenes, but it's crazy. And you lot definitely deserve a pat on the back. And that check that I'm sure Warner Brothers is going to give you.
Tell them to bring me my money.
Yeah! Because forget about DC. Give these guys the check. But anyways. So yeah, definitely you guys deserve it. Hans Zimmer. Like, what did we expect him to flop with the music? Did we expect that a guy who's never flopped to flop? Let's be honest now, Hans Zimmer just cooking. I need to be in the room when you're cooking up this music, because no one should be going this hard. Like, and I need to see your checks, because I need to be you. I need to be you. They say Pirates of the Caribbean, yeah, Dune, yeah, like, Man of Steel, yeah, like everyone just comes, yeah, cool. Got that Inception, yeah, got a banger there. How are you doing this? How are you doing this? Hans Zimmer, I need to go to one of your live shows. But yeah, Hans Zimmer, well done. Amazing, as usual. So that's just quick overview. Going into the story, now there could be spoilers. I'm just giving a disclaimer here. Don't shoot me if I accidentally drop spoilers. But I will be talking about the plot heavily, which kind of is a spoiler anyway. So if you don't want to continue on, that's fine. But if you do, sit in. So yeah, the reason I love Dune is because it plays on this whole trope of like family politics, power, religion, how that can affect a culture, how that can affect a world or a universe in a sense. And as you see in this film, the power of religion and, you know, really taking control of a religion, you see what it does to the Fremen. The Bene Gesserit, you've seen the way they've just molded this monster in Paul, because look at Stilgar. I love your character. Javier Bardem, you went hard. Look at Stilgar. Paul could do anything and he'll say, "Listen, Al Gaib." And there's a reason. Centuries of, you know, manipulating the people. And listen, I'm gonna assume that Frank Herbert was definitely talking about some real life situations when he was talking about this. But yeah, the tropes of power, politics, religion, and how it can affect the people, cause wars, cause this, cause that. That's what Dune's about. And this whole sense of Paul being a messiah. Now, I love Paul, but it's the same sort of thing with Eren. They think he's the savior. Is he really a savior? Those are the questions you ask yourself when you get to the end of this film, and definitely at the end of the next film. Because he doesn't want to be what the Bene Gesserit have, you know, prophesized him to be, what the Fremen people prophesized him to be. And at the end of the day, you can't run from fate, unfortunately. You see who he becomes. And I really have to commend Timothée Chalamet for this, because in the books, when I read this, I thought, wow, I sensed the whole change in Paul's character. And I was curious to see how Timothée Chalamet would, you know, bring this to life, because apart from The King, I've never really seen Timothée Chalamet acting. But yeah, Timothy, I thought you was overhyped. You might be a star boy. I have to pay attention to you because I was not familiar with your game. You went hard. That scene in the cave when he's talking to the tribes. Goosebumps. I had to sit forward. It's like I'm playing FIFA. I'm sitting forward. Eyes like this. I'm like, oh, do you know what? I was so gassed because I did not think he would really bring Paul to life, and he did. And I was goosebumps. My friend to the left of me was looking at me. He was like, why do you keep nodding your head? I'm like, you don't understand. I read this. I waited for this. And he went hard. So yeah, that's why I love Dune, because it's quite a tragic story. You think it's this whole sort of messiah, savior, but in the end, is he really the savior? And that's the whole reason in the first film. He has these dreams of a war being like waged across the stars in his name, billions dying, and something he doesn't want to happen. But if you've seen the film, you know what happens. So yeah, I love it. It's just good. It's like Attack on Titan. We don't need a happy ending. We need realism. And to all you Attack on Titan haters, bye!
Fight! Fight!
But yeah, Chani, Zendaya, could be argued the star of the show. And the reason I love Chani's character is because she's just as important as Paul's. At the end of the day, their lives are intertwined. A lot of the decisions he makes is because of his love for her. And you're probably thinking, but at the end of the second film, trust me, you'll see in the third film, it's all about Chani for Paul. And it's quite sad because he, you know, really tells Chani that I don't want power, I don't want this prophecy. And for Chani, there's obviously a personal reason why she doesn't want to be part of this prophecy, which obviously gets revealed with her secret name and how that ties into the prophecy. And she just didn't want to be part of this. You know, she really felt like the religion and the prophecy really enslaved her people and really diminished the culture, I guess, because it sort of took their freedom away from them, and their customs. Like when Paul goes into the cave and starts saying what he says, he's not supposed to be doing that. And you see Chani stand up and like she's about to get real active, but she doesn't because of other reasons. But yeah, Chani's character is just as important. I'm pretty sure the first movie started with a shot of her, and then this movie ends with the shot of her, which should say enough. The first shot and the last shot being of Chani because she is a very important character. And Zendaya, I have to be honest, I'm not gonna act like I haven't seen you act. Euphoria, you did go crazy. Yeah, when I looked at you in Euphoria, I was like, I believed you was really on the drugs, and I hope you wasn't. I hope you wasn't, but I believed you was really on the drugs. So I've seen you act. I think like Zendaya and Timothy, you guys could equally get awards for this movie because you both went crazy. It's undeniable. You both went crazy. Moving on, Rebecca Ferguson. Now, we all know about Rebecca. Mission Impossible and all these other films, Doctor Sleep. So it's not really a surprise to see you acting out your socks again. Lady Jessica's character, she's always been important. At the end of the day, the prophecy is about the mother and the son. We see why, because it's sad because Jessica's influence on Paul essentially leads to what happens to Paul as a character. And Bene Gesserit, they call them witches for a reason. You don't listen to them. Unfortunately, Paul's mother was one. But yeah, she went crazy. You know, Bene Gesserit, like, I think this show they've got coming up about them, Lady Jessica's performance has made me excited for this because it's just so cold. The whole mystery, the whole like corruptness, how they're with powerful families, influencing bloodlines. It's hard. It's hard. And Rebecca Ferguson, you went hard. Lady Jessica was crazy. That whole speech when she's like, oh, we need to affect the non-believers, we need to turn them against themselves. And I'm just like, boy, again, Frank Herbert, what was you speaking about? Because I'm not going to speak about on my channel. What was that a metaphor for? But we move. Anyways, yeah, she went hard. Reverend Mother. There's a reason she's the Reverend Mother. Javier Bardem. Now, some would say he was glazing, but in a real sense, it highlights the power of religion because how devoted Javier Bardem was to Paul was absolutely crazy. Obviously, in the film, Javier Bardem saying, I still got that, you know, Paul Muad'Dib Atreides, Lisan al-Gaib, he is the one to lead us to paradise. And he says he sees the signs, he really believes in Paul and takes him under his wing. And in the book, I really love Stilgar's character, and in the show, this was the same. But his devotion to Paul was crazy. I'm sure, as most of you have seen, there's a point where it's like the Fremen people are discussing whether Paul really is the one or not, or whether he's just a fraud. And then Paul himself says, no, I'm not the one. I don't want to be the one. I don't want this power. And then it ends. And then Stilgar goes, yeah, but he's too humble. The one is humble. He would never say he is the one. And then he says, listen, okay. It's crazy. No matter what Paul does, he is the one. Paul could go turn off and reset the Wi-Fi to get it working again. And Stilgar will be in the front room talking about Lisan al-Gaib. So Stilgar, you went crazy. I think you was a bit of a comedic relief as well, because you did make me laugh, and we know about you. No Country for Old Men, Skyfall as well. Yeah, we've seen you act, and it's understandable. Who else? Oh, my boy, Austin Butler, Fade Ralpha. Now, evidently there's people complaining that you weren't in the film enough, and I'm thinking back, I don't remember you being like more heavily involved in the book. But I definitely believe that it was enough for me. Of course, like, if you give me more Fade Ralph, I'm gonna take more Fade Ralph because he went hard, and I was a bit skeptical. Elvis to Fade Ralph, I had to really rub my chin there because I thought, Denis, I don't know what you're cooking. I'm not too sure. And then when I saw Fade Ralph step into the arena and his dad said, "Show me who you are," I was like, okay. And I'm not gonna act like I didn't know about Fade Ralph because I use him on Call of Duty, which is sick. But Fade Ralph, he was maniacal, cunning, aggressive, violent, crazy, insane. And yeah, he went crazy. We could really have a discourse about villains if he was like a more prominent figure in the Dune universe. But for what he did in this movie, crazy. Well done, Austin Butler, because you was definitely getting a lot of haters from people in the Dune fandom. But yeah, pat on the back, you deserve it. Who else is there? Let me try to think. Stellan Skarsgård. Now, whenever we see you, you're just acting off. Andor, I love your character on Andor. What a guy. And in this, Baron Harkonnen, he's just, it's the, what's the word? Yeah, he's the essence of gluttony and just deceit and everything that's a Harkonnen, because you was cooking. And I have to be honest, you didn't have as much of a role in this, but still, you played your part well and you went crazy. Yeah. And some scenes to talk about before I end this. The worm scene, that scene, we need to talk about it because apparently it took 3 months to film. And he had a whole different team brought in just for that whole scene. And the scene probably was about 5 minutes on in the movie. But 3 months to film, you have to really appreciate it because you went crazy. And I was reading the books, I just sort of think, like, how are they going to make riding the worms look? Because in the original film, it looks silly. It's some guy, he just puts like a pickaxe and then the worm just takes him. A bit weird, but back then, they were cooking with what they had. But today I was thinking, you absolutely went crazy. That scene it got me high octane. I was gassed. I was like, yeah, he's bringing the book to life. I love it. So yeah, that was amazing. And then we also, what was a crazy scene? The opening scene, crazy, with the Harkonnens like flying over the hill, trying to find the Fremen and they're hiding in the sun, under this like the cover of the sun. Cause it was sort of like sunset, and it was like it had this like this like red orange like glow over the whole scene, and I thought the colors and the wide shots were crazy. You guys were cooking again. Greg Fraser, Denis, we know about you. The arena scene, I think I've already mentioned this at Gady Prime, the Harkonnen homeworld, absolutely crazy. Florence Pugh didn't have as much of a role in this, but I was reading somewhere that Denis did tell her, like, you won't have as big of a role in this film, but if we do get the next film, you will be one of the main characters, which is true. She does play a big role. When you watch the end of this film, you'll probably see why. The politics that she's got involved with. Costume design, that costume where she had like the knives hanging off like some sort of like gown, cold. The Reverend Mothers, the Emperors, yeah. Costume design, set design for the throne room at the end, you all went crazy. Josh Brolin went hard. Batista, that scene where he's running out calling for Muad'Dib, and he sees him and he's like, do you know what, I'm not actually onto you, I'm going home. I hear it.
Yo, why is you playing at me, yo?
My fault, OG.
No, ain't no my fault. Run your pockets, yo.
For what?
Yo, kick them.
Because that scene was just cold. And then I love this film, genuinely. So with our ratings, we're going with an out of 10. Just as a disclaimer for, you know, the rest of the videos. I think out of 10 is good because out of 5 just ain't enough for me. I feel like you can get away with a lot being out of 5, but out of 10 is more accurate. So yeah, out of 10, I've been saying 9, but when I talk about it and how passionate I get about it, I'm thinking, is it really a 9? it's a 9 out of 10 for me. It will probably be 10 out of 10 the more I watch it. But yeah, 9 out of 10. And I hope you guys enjoyed this review, because I've been talking about doing this. I'm finally doing it. So guys, like and subscribe. Comment your thoughts. What did you think about the movie? Do you disagree with me, and why? Let me know. But yeah, I'll catch you lot in the next video.